Hey guys, Shane here. I'm almost reluctant to make this video because it's kind of it's the end of an era. Getting ready to send Scabs Praetorian back. I've had this thing a couple of months. He was awesome, man, and more than gracious to not only loan me this knife, to be very patient and allow me to keep it as long as I wanted to and get a good feel for it. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. I didn't want to just get it in hand and flip it a few times and check it out and make a video and call it a review. Because this is a very controversial knife as far as being a knife, to be honest with you, as far as being a cutting tool or an everyday carry or whatever. So I wanted to really get a full experience with it and what it was like to carry this thing, long term and use it as a cutting tool. And I just want to kind of give you guys my final thoughts on it before I send it back. And you guys know how I feel about American-made knives, so there's no point in spending a bunch of time on that. I love them. But this thing is probably the most, how do I put this? It's probably the most bad-mouthed knife that I know of, American or otherwise. It just, people like to talk bad about it because of the size, because how overbuilt it is. People complain about the jimping, how much it affects the ergonomics and all that. And for the most part, some of those people are right. The majority of them have never handled one. They've never carried one. So their opinion that's kind of bullshit, just to be honest. I mean, if you haven't handled it, carried it, cut with it for a long period of time, you really don't know. You just got a first impression, and you've been living off that ever since. So I didn't want to do that. So I've carried this thing quite a bit. I had no idea when I received it that this was an exclusive and that it was in S90V. And let me tell you, you don't even have to think about it, man. I don't know who sharpened this thing for Scab. He told me, I don't remember, but it is every bit as sharp right now as it was the day I got it. And I won't say I've used it extensively, and I wouldn't say that I've necessarily hard used it. I've just used it. It was in my pocket, and if I needed to cut something, I did. Regardless of what that was, whether it be a piece of wire or a wire tie, nylon strap, hose, whatever I need to cut, I just cut with this thing. And it did it great. Let's go over the elephant in the room, though, and that would be the weight. This is a very substantial knife. With that comes some weight. When I first put it in my pocket and the first day I walked around with it, the pants I would wear were a little loose, so it would actually kind of swing out and come back and tap me in the leg every step I took. So I knew it was there. Did it hurt? No, it didn't pull my pants down. I'm not half the man I used to be, but I could carry this knife every day, no problem. I don't even know what it weighs, guys. I don't weigh knives. I don't have scales. To quote Brass Brigade, what does it weigh? About that fucking much. I don't care. I don't need to know if it's 5 ounces or 6 ounces. I just need to know if the weight is more than I can handle, and it's not. It's probably not more than you can handle. After about day 2, maybe 3, you just kind of start forgetting it's there. It's no different than when several years ago when you started putting a phone in your pocket every day, and that wasn't something you were used to doing. It took a little getting used to. Now you don't think anything of it. It's the same way with this knife. When you start talking about the ergos, that jimping is quite large. I don't find it to be overly aggressive. What I mean by that is, even though it's large, it's not painful to me, and I have very, very sensitive hands, guys. There are a lot of knives that you guys carry every day that I just cannot. It don't feel good in my hands because of my neuropathy. My hands are overly sensitive, and some stuff just hurts. This happened to not be one of those. It is a full tie frame lock knife. which is not my favorite design. It's not my first pick by any means. I know the majority of the community loves that now. I'm not one of those people. I just don't enjoy using a frame lock knife. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not making any excuses for it, but it's just not one of my favorite things to use. And I just got a Sebenza, guys, and I love it. Do I wish it was a liner lock or a button lock? Or yeah, I do, but it's not. But anyway, the cutting performance on this thing is actually really shocking. It cuts very well. It cuts as good as any knife, any well-made knife I've ever handled. Now, I had a conversation recently with a gentleman, and we were talking about the difference between cutting and slicing. Now, if I wanted to cut this straw in half, this knife will do that just as well as my Spyderco Dragonfly. I mean, because it's cutting something. It's not having to pass through a thick media, and separate that media. I don't need to explain what slicing is. You guys know. If you take a large block of cheese and try to cut it with this knife, you're going to hate it. Absolutely hate it. It's not made for that. It is a great cutter, but it's not a great slicer. So if you cut cheese or you cut thick materials all day that you need a thin blade stop, no, this is not the knife for you. If you want a knife that invokes a feeling that every time you take it out and open it, you have to stop and look at it for a second to admire it, this is the knife for you. You guys know I don't do typical knife reviews. Why I named my channel initially Pocket Knife Review, I have no idea. That was dumb, because I'm not going to give you the links. I'm not going to give you weights. I don't do specs. I talk about how a knife makes me feel, and that doesn't take precedence over how it works, but those are the two most important things to me when I talk about a knife. This knife makes me feel great. It has a certain level of badassery that I enjoy. It's American made. It employs American people. Parts of the proceeds of this knife go to support. Well, never mind. I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, so my final take on the MEDFORD Praetorian tie. Is it an EDC knife? If you're the kind of guy that doesn't need your wife to carry things in her purse for you, yes, it can be an EDC knife. If you need a hard use knife, absolutely, this is a great option. If you just like a knife that you enjoy taking out of your pocket and showing off to your buddies because they appreciate that kind of thing, this is an awesome knife to own. Even if you just want to put it in a display case or in your knife collection box and admire it from time to time and show it off from time to time, it's a great addition, guys. It's not what haters will have you think it is, because I guarantee you those haters have never owned one. They've never did a long-term review on one. They've never had a full experience with one. Now, I'm going to get this knife sent back to Scab. Guys, I have a small channel. For me to say, if you're not subscribed to Choir Boy Outdoors and you don't know who Scab is, to go sub is kind of dumb, because I'm sure everybody subbed to my channel is probably already subbed to his. But let me tell you something, man. That is an awesome, awesome guy. I don't know what this knife cost. I'm guessing it was probably over $1,000 knife. If not, it was close to it. And without ever meeting me or knowing who I was, he mailed it to my home and told me to keep it as long as I wanted to. That's not a common thing that people do. But I am truly appreciative of the man. I love hearing his outtake on things. He's got me itching for some big badass fixed blades now. I acquired my first one, and I'll blame him for that. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me today. That's all I got for y'all. You guys know I appreciate any amount of time y'all spend with me. Peace. Love y'all.